Hey guys, so just to head off, if you looked at the title, Big Mistake, that covers a couple different things and we'll get into the guitar work later. But the first big mistake was this video should have been a lot longer, but when I was doing a bunch of other work, I thought I was recording, but I wasn't. So the makers of OBS, that little blue strip is nice, but it would be nice if you put something up by the video window, like something that said on air or recording that's easily visible, mainly for people like me who apparently have way too much going on in their brain and can't think to look at something that says stop or start recording. Anyhow, so there's a lot of work that's been done offline, and I'll get into what that was when we start looking at the guitar. But I did want to mention a couple things. First of all, and thank you to the community commenters, everybody, the Discord, everybody that's reached out otherwise to talk about the guitar. I really appreciate that. And that gets me into what I was going to talk about for the community, because I'm going to forget somebody. And if I do in advance, I apologize. I probably won't link everybody down below because it would be a paragraph about this long and then nobody would even read it. Um, just for setup skills and everything, this community has been invaluable to me, and everybody in the community has been really cool to each other lately, to me. And I just think it's worth shouting out a few people, even just verbally. Ted Talks Guitars and Life, Brant over at Tone Yanger, Chris at BCG 5150, Tim Rock, BBM, for their setup skills and all the encouragement I get from you guys whenever I post a video. You guys are always posting things down below. Casey, who actually just called me tonight, that puts a timestamp on it. It's St. Patrick's Day. This is my only green shirt. Casey, just for all the cool projects you do and the humor that you put into your videos, just is awesome, and just kind of sets you apart. Brian, you're number one, just being the encouragement that got me started doing this, but your production skills and everything. Ubi, just the sheer entertainment you bring to everything you do with your live streams, and just for your support for everything technical as well. I wouldn't be doing this without you. Sparky, Sparky, building and finishing guitars in his garage, which, oh, hey, that brings me to one thing. I will link this channel. Sorry. Um, Getting back to that, I will link this channel. Uh, Eagle Blues Customs is a channel. I think Ted recommended it in one of his lives or something, or in a post. You guys need to check him out. This guy's actually got a lot of back videos about different things going on. He's building guitars and working on guitars in his workroom too, but he's been lately working on building a guitar from scratch from pine and pallet boards, which is just frankly amazing to me. And I can't believe that more people aren't looking at his videos or commenting. So I'll link it down below. You guys should check it out. And if it's for you, please subscribe. I think he'd appreciate it. Seems to be a decent guy, and just really interesting projects and a lot of valuable information besides everything else we get from this community. So if I forgot anybody, I apologize. I think at some point in the future, I'll probably start doing posts again for different channels for different folks, just to try and drive people, uh, not necessarily my subscribers, because I think they all subscribe to all of you, but for anybody doing a drive-by that might see the links and want to check them out. I think everybody in this community deserves to get their flowers for everything, because it's really inspired me to do what I'm doing, which is trying to learn things. So anyhow, now that I've padded my video for what promises to be a little bit of short work, let's get to the camera and we'll start looking at what we need to do beyond what I did and didn't record. 1 second. So what I did do was off camera, I sanded down the nut from the bottom. And that was around the same time that people were reaching out to me on the Discord and in comments talking about a more obvious way, which if I had thought about it more critically, probably would have worked, to actually file the nut slots down to where I needed them to get the action, not the action, to get the nut height for the string correct, and then sand off the top. Take the strings out, and so the strings would be laying, kind of half in, half out, like they're supposed to. If I had cut the nut slots down before sanding off the bottom, they would have been down in there further, and obviously it makes more sense to sand down the top because you've already cut the slots to the depth they need to be. I may have sanded too much off the bottom. We shall see. I have a couple things going on. I'm not sure if you can hear this. Number one, I noticed when I was using my feeler gauges that everything seems to be way too low. I'm hoping that with checking the relief, changing the action a little bit, that I might be able to alleviate this enough to use it. If not, this is going to be going in the rack for a little bit until I can wrap my head around using the spare nut. I've got another one of these, so that's the good thing about them coming in a 2-pack. I can try again. I don't really have a use for another red nut at this moment, so may as well use it in here if I have to. Anyhow, I think part of the problem was me because, and this is going to be an issue moving forward with the channel anyways. I tend to have project ADHD just because on the weekend that I was working on this and trying to record it, whoops, I was also working on a few things around the house, installing my new audio interface and having issues with that, but I did get it working. But I also have all these fun sounding ideas for projects on all the guitars as well as parts, and then I get on to moving on to things before I fully realize what I should be finishing. So I will try to get better at that, but don't hold your breath, gang. All right. Back to the guitar. What we've got going on, I don't know if you can hear any of this, but the B and the E string got a little bit of sitar going on there. I could leave it like this and I could use it to play Metallica songs, I guess, but that's not what I really want to do. So we're going to take a look, like I said, at the relief first to make sure, just so you know what I did as well, did clean up the neck a little bit, checked all the frets. There's not a high fret to be found, so it's not a fret issue. This is either the nut relief or action, and I'm suspecting it's the nut because I suspect I sanded just a little too much off the bottom, which sucks because it looks really good. So first things first, I'm going to stand up here and see if we can, let's go to the overhead. I don't know how well you're going to see this. Oop, I'm hitting one of my cameras. I'm going to have to, the flying V, it's really hard to get it completely straight up and down, but at least it's in plane position. And I got to make sure, let's hold it with the left hand. Got to make sure that I don't relic anything. And yeah, there's no relief in the neck. And I don't think adding any would help because I think a lot of where this is low is at the first few frets. So the next thing we're going to check, and I'm actually going to throw a light on my head because even with all the lights I've got for recording, I'm going to need a little extra light on the subject to read. There we go. I really like my Fret Guru XT, but I am used to checking action in millimeters. So that's what I'm going to do. Yeah, this does have millimeters on it too, so we will check it at the 12th. Yeah, we're looking at about 2 millimeters, so that's a little high. So the problem is if I lower this action, I can't imagine that's going to make that buzzing any better. I can try and lower the action a little bit. So we've got 2 on the low E. I need to find a better way to hold these in plane position. Let's do it in my lap, shall we? I'm going to go to the overhead camera so you can at least see me. I will shut off the headlight because that's going to blind somebody. So hey there, guys. All right. So E, A is about 2. D is about 1.75. G is about 1.75. Let's check the B and E. B is about 1.75, so it's not super low action. It's not low action causing the buzzing. I do think it is an issue with the nut because it's way lower at the top. Like I said, the gauges, 0.06 to 0.08 gauges, when I did have this down there, there's very little movement down there, like almost not enough. So I think that's part of it. But let's go ahead and lower this action, try and straighten these out and see if it does resolve any of that buzzing. At the very least, let's see if I can get this playing well enough to do any sort of samples with it, because I have a feeling it's going to be going back in the rack for a little bit, because I do want to get to my review, my guitar, my overview of the telly that Roy sent me, for one. I also have a video to do this weekend for some sponsored content, so look for that. That's my first time doing this, and that's another person, another shout out. I'd really like to thank Jeremy for pointing me at the company that is giving me this opportunity. So thank you, Jeremy. All right. So we know that the action is a little high across the board. Let's find the right Allen wrench to try and adjust that just a little bit, if I've got room to do it even. If I don't, then I'm also possibly looking at a neck shim, which may have been something that this needed from the get-go, because this is the first time I'm actually checking the setup. That's a little big. I think this is the one I'm after. All right. All right, let's take a look. A little lower to try and get it to where I like to live with my action. Also trying to make sure that I'm not setting that saddle crooked, because that'll cause its own set of problems. Sorry for the headshot there. Suppose I should be getting a tuner out too before I check the action to make sure it's up to tension. All right. Check that once more. All right, that's much closer to where I like to live. And I can tell, yep, it's fretting out dead. So never mind the cut, guys. This is going to be a very short video. This is a nut fail. It's a strange term. So what we're going to do is I'm actually going to raise the action back up just for now, because I want to get the nut cut at least close to properly before we try and do anything with this again. So we will be going into the bag for the new nut. I will make a video of this probably in the next 2 weeks. This is going to be the next thing I come back to after the two things that I really want to get out of the way, because it does seem simple enough. Once I get a properly cut nut on there, I'll be able to determine whether I need to shim this neck or not. I don't think I do. I think all I need to do is get the nut set so we don't have everything too low up here. And that's causing the problems. This is stuff I know, and I rushed through things, didn't do my research again. But all things considered, it's a fairly cheap lesson to learn. The two nuts cost me less than $10 total. So I've got an out there. Maybe this will be the thing that makes me swear off actual nuts that you got to cut like Casey did, and I'll move to the adjustable nuts that I'm going to be trying on the LP Junior in the future too. So speaking of Project ADHD, so again, thank you to everybody in the community. Sorry that this wasn't a terribly exciting video, or a terribly long one, but I am hoping that this gives. Again, I hope it's a lesson I learned. I hope it's something I can pass on to someone who is just learning to learn ahead of time, maybe save you from having to use both nuts that you buy. It is what it is. It's nothing that I'm terribly angry about, not even anything that I'm terribly frustrated about. I'm just very interested in learning it. So that's a hard way to learn the lesson. Hopefully this helps somebody else not do it the same way. So Again, happy St. Patrick's Day, guys. The coldest one I can remember in recent history. And be good to each other. I hope you all have a fantastic week ahead of you. And we'll see you this weekend with a different video. Talk to you later.